Good afternoon, folks. Welcome to this month's featured webinar on hiring the best with predictive analytics, sponsored by GPS Trackit and InTouch GPS. I am Amit Jain from Rhodes, the marketplace platform which powers the GPS Trackit marketplace. Whether it's local service and delivery fleets, or long-haul trucks, or construction fleets, I'm sure we will all agree that hiring the best talent is one of the most important factors in a company's growth and success. Over the next 30 minutes, you will learn how behavioral analytics can help you instantly identify the safest, most valuable long-term employees before you decide to hire them. To kick it off, Scott May, the Chief Marketing Officer at GPS Trackit, will share a few thoughts on the value of the marketplace, followed by a presentation by Dylan Tinney from JOBehaviors. We will end the session by viewing a few new solutions on the GPS Trackit marketplace, including the JOBehaviors solution. A quick note, please use the Q&A button at the bottom of your screen to submit your questions, and we will address those at the end of the session. Also, I have placed the URL for the marketplace in the chat if you wish to go to it now. Without further ado, Scott.
All right. Hey, thanks again, Amit. And welcome again, everybody. For those of you who are our customers, you know that GPS Trackit, we're focused on helping our customers grow their businesses by helping to improve productivity, increase safety, save money, all sorts of metrics. And the fleet marketplace provides just that as well. So top-notch products and services that can complement your GPS Trackit platform experience. Now, these cover a wide range of solutions, from dash cam, video, and fleet telematics to a number of driver-focused solutions as well, to HR solutions, just like that provided by JOBehaviors, and which is our special guest today, as Amit mentioned. So with all that, I know that you're looking forward to hearing about JOBehaviors, how it can help to improve driver recruitment and retention. So with that, I'll hand it over to you, Dylan.
All right. Hey, thanks very much, Scott and Amit. We're really excited to be here today and sharing with everyone on the call a quick overview of our HR solutions, which help fleets hire and optimize hiring outcomes by hiring the very best applicants in their applicant pool. So let's jump right in and get started. So before we talk about our system, I want to just quickly acknowledge something that's developing in the industry that you're all operating in, which is nuclear verdicts are on the rise, and they're not just on the rise in a small way. They're on verdicts are happening on an order of magnitude larger over the past decade. And while no fleet wants to think about this happening to them, it's something that we certainly want to acknowledge is a huge pressure. And even if your fleet is fortunate enough to be avoiding these kind of incidents, it's driving insurance costs up across the board for every carrier is feeling these, even if you're doing a great job of training and maintaining safety. And so, in this kind of environment, when there's a lot of headwinds facing transportation in general, and a lot of companies are facing things that might be out of their control, we want to bring it back and really help companies to empower them to really focus on making decisions that really that they can control, and ultimately are going to be the driving force behind their continued success and growth in the years to come. And so that's why we really want to focus here on helping every fleet on this call optimize their hiring success rate. And the way JOBehaviors, our unique proposition that we bring to the table, is we bring decades of research and behavioral insights and actual sit-down knowledge with top performers in a wide variety of specific roles within the transportation industry to prepare pre-screening assessments, which help companies basically replicate some of the best performers in the industry every time they hire. And so what you're going to find is very clear, accurate, and objective recommendations that really deliver for your fleet long-term success between both the job seeker and your fleet. And ultimately, the core values that really drive everything we do is helping fleets achieve safety, retention, and performance. So what really separates JOBehaviors out from some other HR solutions that are out there? First and foremost, every tool in our tool belt is job specific. So this is not a one-size-fits-all screening tool. Every tool that you have access to is job specific and built with the top performers in that individual job in mind. And that's really important because there's a huge range of key differentiators between a great delivery driver and a great over-the-road driver and a great diesel tech mechanic. Those all look very different. And so we want to be as specific as possible in delivering our solutions to you. Number two, everything that we do is geared around the idea of what does the best candidate look like in the job? And in other words, how do they actually behave in the role? There's lots of other tools out there that focus on things like personality or technical skills, which are all fine and great. But really, at the end of the day, what really differentiates a great performer from an average performer is the behaviors that they bring to the table on day one. And so over the course of this presentation, we'll share some case studies of how these two factors really lead to transformative outcomes for our partners across those key business drivers from retention and recruiting, safety, and performance. So at a very high level, what does this look like? It's really simple in practice. So to start off, a fleet would set our job behaviors assessments as the first step in the hiring process, which is really going to streamline that recruiting process and supercharge it by assessing candidates upfront on their own time before they earn the right to take up some of your time, and certainly before they earn the right to be on your payroll. And then partnering with our partners, and for everyone on the call who is a subscriber to GPS Track It, you're going to have access to so much data about your fleets already. You're going to be able to see the difference in performance and really measure that with the great tools that you already have to really see the difference between your legacy hires and your future high performers. And over the course of time, you're going to be able to track that retention, safety, and performance, and not just as great, nice to haves, but really as business metrics that drive forward your business and really increase profitability and long-term growth potential. And as you're thinking about your specific fleet, I want to come back to that first point of job specificity. So this is a quick overview of every assessment that you would have access to through the marketplace and through a partnership with JOBehaviors. So we know that every fleet is different, every operation has different needs, and you can really customize your assortment based on your fleet's specific needs, whether you're running an over-the-road or heavy construction fleet or delivery drivers, and even in the realm of public transportation and school bus drivers. As well as all the kind of back-end support that you could need to run your organization, from sales, account management, customer service, et cetera. So a ton of solutions here. They're all job-specific, all done on an individual job basis with top performers in each one of these key roles. So what does this look like compared to traditional screening? Well, as you can kind of imagine, if you're used to the traditional screening process of putting out job postings and reviewing a ton of resumes, we know that process is really time and labor intensive. And despite all our best efforts, at the end of the day, we're still human. And a lot of research shows that about 99% of hiring decisions are still made on personality and first impression, which, as we know in the transportation industry, does not always, some of those folks who look great in an interview or on paper can turn out to be some of the biggest headaches, and vice versa. Some people who don't necessarily shine in an interview or resume sitting can really turn out to surprise you and really be some of the best performers. So at JOBehaviors, what we're all about is kind of replacing that very subjective hiring approach and replacing it with a very consistent, 100% objective and highly replicable process through a very simple to use assessment that screens out all those candidates right up front and helps you understand exactly who are the high performers within that group and who are the folks that will probably be very successful in a different role and definitely outside your company. So what does this mean for your recruiting force? Well, we're really excited about these 5 things that really are going to help supercharge the efforts that you're already doing. And first and foremost, when people think about screening, they might think about screening out, and in a driver shortage, that might be something that is really something that we don't want to consider. So the first thing we want to really plant our flag down and say is that by screening, you can actually unlock a wider talent pool within the existing applicants that you're already getting. So a lot of our partners who maybe in the past have really sat behind really high and stringent minimum qualifications, like certain number of years of experience or certain certifications, things like that, are able to use an objective, consistent assessment to actually look into non-traditional candidates, especially those who are non-experienced, and be able to find those high value and high potential candidates before their competitors do, which is a huge, huge advantage over folks who are still sitting behind those very stringent minimum qualifications. And when you screen applicants up front, there's immediate benefits to your recruiting staff, and that they aren't having to highly review every single applicant in the pool. They know exactly where to focus their energy on with those high value candidates, because your fleet will know exactly who those folks are up front. And it really helps empower recruiters who have this really intense job of not only having to staff the fleets, but also determine quality. And so what we like to say is let the tool do the heavy lifting of determining the high quality candidates, and then turn your recruiters loose on doing what they do best, which is selling your company to a prospective job applicant. And overall, what this is going to do is set a long-term growth trajectory for your business, meaning that every hire you make doesn't go towards replacing churn, but actually goes towards long-term growth. And as your average tenure increases, that growth trajectory that your company is on is only going to increase. So again, just to double back, and we'll look into some case studies for this, but what's really great, especially in an environment like today's, which is very challenged and short for labor, is that with job behaviors, no experience is required. And we have some cases that'll show that inexperienced candidates who are hired based on their job behavior score end up completing training and going on to be excellent workers, not just in a small amount, but actually on the order of between 5 and 7 times more than folks who don't pass our assessments. So we would say hire for the behaviors, and then use your resources to train for skills and kind of put the finishing touches on these individuals who are going to be most receptive to it. And here's just a quick article that talks about this. We have a partner who recently launched a new driver training program. So previously they only hired folks who had 3 years or more of experience, and then they opened up a new division that was going to focus on folks who were coming straight out of driver training school and hiring them based on job behaviors. And they found that with a little bit of training and finishing, they were able to find drivers who are as safe and proficient after 6 months on the job as drivers with 6 years of experience, which is huge. So what exactly are these behaviors that we're confirming? What is this assessment doing? Well, I wanted to give you a quick snapshot of some sample high performance behaviors from 2 of the top jobs that we're going to be talking about today. So one being the Class L CDL driver. See, this assessment really qualifies things that are super important, like, are they going to be willing to take the time to do that pre-trip inspection? Are they going to be providing excellent communication with your customers and with dispatch as well as law enforcement? And ultimately, are they going to be demonstrating pride in being a truck driver, as opposed to just seeing this as a stepping stone to something else? And all these things kind of come together to really create a complete picture of that excellent driver in your workforce that you want to replicate over and over in every hiring decision. And similarly, over on the delivery driver side, there's the assessment really dives into some more of that customer interaction, which, while is important in the CDL, is definitely extremely important on the delivery driver side. So really making sure that your frontline employees, when they're interacting, when they're in customers' homes, when they're on the road, they're acting with safety, professionalism, and excellence at all times. And ultimately, they're showing up to work, ready to work, and excited about their job. So the assessment breaks the candidates' responses down in a really easy to follow five-star rating. 3, 4, and 5 stars represent about the top half of the applicant group. 2 stars represent those folks who are a little bit on the cusp. And the 1 stars are really folks who are going to be better suited to a completely different career. They don't share the core excellent behaviors that the top performers do. And even with training and all the great resources that can be poured into them, just because of their behavioral fit, and it doesn't mean they're bad people, it just means they're better suited to another line of work, they tend to have a much lower success rate in the job. And so if you can, as you're thinking about the ways that you want to prioritize your outreach and your recruiting efforts, focusing on 2, 3, 4, and 5 stars is going to help your business just exponentially get better, and leaving the 1 stars for your competitors is going to do just absolute wonders for your business health. And so the way this looks in practice, here's a very simple visual that just kind of shows what the typical applicant pool looks like. And before being screened, applicants kind of all look generally the same on paper. There might be some obvious jump outs, but for the most part, most fleets are not finding out applicant quality until after they've gone through the screening process and are actually hired and on your payroll. Whereas with job behaviors, by directing those applicants to take that 10-minute assessment up front on their own time, you have an extremely clear picture of the performance potential of every one of those candidates right from the beginning. So again, kind of following that 80-20 rule, where 80% of your headaches can come from the bottom 20 to 20% of your fleet. Just knowing who those folks are right off the bat is going to help your recruiters focus on that top 70%, which is going to drive growth and business returns for you. And so just to kind of put that in perspective, this kind of shows the typical journey of our transportation partners. We know that this is a business that is typically runs on very thin profit margins. And so, when we're able to start to really boost retention, when we're able to avoid some of those really costly safety mistakes, and we're ultimately hiring people who are showing up to work super excited and super great at what they do, you see that the retention, safety, and performance just drives those sustainable gains over time. And also over time, just if you're able to just focus on just phasing out some of those 1-stars over time, as you're able to fill your fleet with folks who are sticking around much longer, who are contributing, we see companies are actually able to kind of move up that chain and start really focusing their efforts on 3s, 4s, and 5s, and eventually 4s and 5s. And eventually, a few years down the road, when you have a fleet of all 5-star drivers, it's absolutely incredible what your operating income looks like relative to your competitors. So here's a quick CEO insight from one of our partners, Jeff Shefchick over at Paper Transport, who we're really proud to be working with. At the end of the day, the driver controls all costs for a carrier. And when you hire these great drivers, everything in your business gets better. And when you use this tool, our tool, consistently hiring those great drivers is going to become your new normal. So let's dive into some case studies. So a top 10 carrier has been using JOBehaviors to screen all candidates to a new Class A CDL training to hire program. And what they found is pretty incredible. So in this case, we would not have recommended the 1-stars go forward to the hiring program, but in this case they did, and that's great because it gives us an incredible data to work off of, which is that only about 28 out of 178 1-star candidates actually passed the CDL training, which is a complete stark difference to the folks that JOBehaviors would have recommended, which passed the course at a rate of 93%. So it's about 6.5 times higher, which is really incredible. And something important to note is that of the small amount of 1-star candidates who did eventually go on to earn their CDL, the vast majority of them actually had to go back and take the assessment twice. So really eating up a lot of valuable resources for that carrier. Partnering with the Department of Labor and the state of Arkansas, and some great companies who I also know on the list, like Instructional Technologies Inc., who are also on the GPS marketplace. So we helped 300 drivers or new drivers to the industry get on their feet following as part of a driver training program for the Department of Labor in the state of Arkansas. And that program was extremely successful, blew out all the benchmarks that the government was looking for. And they found that at 6 months, the 3, 4, and 5-star candidates were retained at their employers at a rate of 80%, which was extremely unheard of relative to the 20% industry average. So this is the kind of things as you're thinking about where your retention might be, and if these kind of outcomes would be helpful for you. This is really what we want to start to, what we want to plant our flag in the ground and say this is the kind of thing that you can actually achieve. And over on the delivery side, we work with a number of FEDEX contractors around the country. And Ron Wilmy is a great friend of ours, and he'd be happy to speak with anyone on this call about his experience. But he built a fleet from the ground up with JOBehaviors, and he's finding that 100% of the new hires that he's screened with JOBehaviors complete his training. They show up to work with a cooperative, enthusiastic attitude. They're on time, they're punctual. And at 18 months, he had an 85% driver retention rate with extremely low accidents and zero workplace incidents. And so ultimately, those kind of things are helping his business with lower insurance costs, lower workers' comp claims, and making sure that his clients are just receiving extremely professional attention, on-time deliveries, et cetera. So we're really proud of the outcomes there. And then Paper Transport, you might have they've been popping up in quite a few publications lately, from CCJ to Fleet Owner and a number of others. And we're really proud of these results because they're basically over the course of a year able to turn their turnover from the high 80s down to sub 50. So they basically cut their turnover in half, meaning that their new hire retention is 2 to 3 times the industry average. And not only is their retention better, but their safety is now consistently improving year over year. They've had 2019 and 2020 were the best safety years on record. and they're on track to do even better this year. And with this new CDL, this new program where they're hiring inexperienced drivers, they're absolutely able to grow their business while avoiding a lot of those costly things that typically come with hiring new drivers to the industry. So they're receiving fewer accidents, speeding infractions, et cetera. And so over the course of the last 3 years, they've been able to grow their fleet from 750 drivers to over 900, and with extremely high profitability. So we're extremely proud of that. And we just want to double down and say, if you're concerned about screening applicants is going to hinder your growth, I think this is a great case study of an organization that's been able to actually not only stay afloat, but thrive and grow in a challenging hiring environment. And lastly, just want to touch quickly on another initiative that we're super excited about, which is JOBehaviors is deeply committed to nurturing the next generation of driver talent. And so we're partnering with Next Generation in Trucking, which is a organization all about instituting CDL and transportation training at the high school level. And what we're really excited about is that the program administrator there, Dave Dine, was able to test all the high school students in his high school. And what he was so thrilled about is that this next year around, he's going to have 5 times more females enrolling in his fall 21 classes than he's ever had before. So that's just one more piece of the puzzle that these tools really help recruit a diverse, non-traditional candidate pool. And so with that, I'll turn it back over to Amit.
Thank you, Dylan. And let me share my screen. So folks, I'll quickly navigate to the GPS Track Marketplace and just take you through some of the solutions. For those of you who have not been to the marketplace yet, there's a few ways of getting there. So both for InTouch GPS customers as well as for GPS Track customers, if you go to the marketing side, there is usually a link for the marketplace on the marketing side. And then there's also a link to the marketplace in both the product portals. So this is an example of the InTouch GPS. Now let me show you an example on the GPS Track product portal. So on the left side, those of you who use this portal, you see the navigation menu. As you navigate all the way down, you'll see the marketplace button at the bottom of the navigation menu. When you click on this, you get to the homepage of the GPS Track marketplace. On this marketplace, you'll see all the solutions. Either you can navigate to the solutions by scrolling through this infinite scroll list, or you can look at the category that you may be interested in and navigate to the solutions that way. One quick note, under the resource section is where we will post the webinar, today's webinar, and any of the other webinars that we do with GPS Track will be posted there for you to leverage. Let me just quickly share with you that we have added, for those of you who have been here before, we have added a few more categories and 4 new solutions just this past week. And these 4 solutions actually are GPS Track's own solution. So when you go to the ADAS and camera, you'll see that there's a solution with VidFleet, which is the new AI-based state-of-the-art video solution that GPS Track just launched in the last week or so. Then they have another solution under asset tracking. There's also a solution under telematics. That's their core solution, the fleet tracking solution. And then under regulatory compliance, there's an ELD, hours of service compliance module that is also available. So these are some of the new solutions. The others, if you have been to the marketplace before, you would have seen them. So let's quickly now navigate to the job behaviors. So again, 2 ways. Either you can scroll through all the solutions, or you can get to the HR solutions, and there you'll see the job behavior solution card. Once you open it, you see the pricing of the solution. So this is a starting price. Obviously, once I'll share with you how you get to speaking with job behaviors. But basically, that gives you a starting price. There's a longer description of the solution as you scroll down. If you look at this multimedia carousel, there's actually a video that talks about the value proposition of the solution, a little bit more about the features and benefits of the solution. Then the target audience. So the good news is that JOBehaviors caters to all fleet classes, all fleet sizes, and all vertical needs. So you can be rest assured that whatever your need is, JOBehaviors will be able to meet it. And then on the bottom right, there's a resource section where you can see some downloadable documents that will give you additional information about the JOBehaviors offering, if you will. Now, the best way to connect with JOBehaviors, there's two ways. One, you can apply for a free trial. By the way, something to note here, JOBehaviors is offering a special promo for a limited time where they'll offer first 5 assessments for at no cost if a company wants to work with JOBehaviors. So that's a really, really valuable resource, and I encourage you guys to take advantage of that. So you can apply for a free trial, take advantage of the promos, or if you want to find out more about JOBehaviors, there's this request info button, which is a simple 4-screen wizard. So first screen is asking you for your email address. Second screen will be asking you about your name, your company name, and an optional field for phone number. Third screen is asking about your fleet size and fleet type. And that's it. Fourth screen is if you want to put any other notes. But once you hit send, that notification will go to JOBehavior, and somebody from JOBehavior will get in touch with you. So request info is the way for you guys to engage with JOBehaviors, or if you want to apply for a free trial, that also will trigger the same process. So that's how you will be able to get to JOBehaviors and find out more about them. One quick other note, we have a chatbot on the GPS Tracker Marketplace. So in case you have any questions, feel free to use that, and that'll get you answers much faster about the marketplace in general. So with that, let's go to the Q&A. So I'm going to stop sharing. And one of the questions, Dylan, this is for you. You showed a bunch of assessments around delivery drivers, long-haul trucking drivers, and back-end operations people. How about service industry? So people who are mobile workers for the service industry, like whether you have telco, people going installation, break fix, any of that. Do you have assessments for the service industry as well?
Yeah, it's a great question. And we absolutely have installation specialist assessments as well. If that's a key focus, we can absolutely help set you up through the portal that way.
Yeah, so whether it's plumbers, electricians, all these guys go and do some sort of big break fix or installation. So you will have assessments for that type of client as well.
Definitely, just about every entry level job you could think of on a construction site, we've built out assessments specifically for each one of those roles.
Wonderful. Another question is, what is generally the turnaround time after you get the assessments in to provide results to the company?
Yeah, it's a great question. Those results are delivered instantly. So as soon as an applicant finishes that last question on the assessment, your company will receive an email with their contact information and their results. You'll also have that information archived in your JOBehaviors account. And then thirdly, as an option, if you have an applicant tracking system, we can have those results actually flow directly in there with just some light engineering setup.
Great. Other question I have is that what's posted is, do you integrate with the employment platforms like, let's say, Monster.com, Indeed.com to do the talent selection, or basically you rely on the company's HR team to give you who is the applicant pool and then do the assessments with them?
It's a great question. So the way it works is every company will have an individual link to their assessments that ties back directly to their account. So they'll post those links anywhere they're having touch points with a candidate, and just direct them as the first step in the application process to just complete this quick survey to see if they're a good fit for the company.
Great. Another question is there the star rating system, the scoring system you said, are there any benchmarks that you guys post by, let's say, industry segment or fleet type, size, any of those types of benchmarks? So companies.
Yeah, it's a great question. And it's a great question. And the star rating in and of itself is almost a benchmark, because the candidate scores are graded on a curve, if you will. So a 5-star represents really the top 15% of everyone who's ever taken the assessment. So in the case of the CDL test, that's a population size of about 500,000 applicants. And those 1-star, those folks who receive 1-star, they score in about the bottom third or so. So they really kind of represent folks who are really probably, as we've mentioned, better suited to a different career path, and doesn't mean they're bad people by any stretch of the imagination. It just means that this career path might be not one that they thrive and succeed in.
That's great. And one last question was, is the assessment just one and done pre-hiring, or do you guys do ongoing assessments as well?
Yeah, it's a great question. So, typically, this is obviously kind of the front line, and talent acquisition is the really key focus for a lot of our partners. But we do have resources including structured interviews as well as ongoing performance reviews, which all tie back to those key performance metrics that are screened for and identified in the upfront pre-screen assessment.
Wonderful. I think those are all the questions. So, Scott, I'll hand it over to you for concluding the session.
All right. Thank you again, everybody, for attending our Marketplace webinar today. Special thanks to our speakers, to Amit Jain with Rhodes, our Marketplace platform partner, Dylan Tenney, our solutions partner with JOBehaviors. Really appreciate you guys joining today. Just a reminder to everybody, Marketplace is available for everyone. You can easily browse, discover, try, buy. And as Amit mentioned, there's even a live chat in the Marketplace. So if you have questions, you can ask them right there. We just want to make it as easy an experience for you as possible. And remember that many of our solutions partners, just like JOBehaviors today, are offering special deals for our GPS Track It customers. So I encourage everyone to check it out. Try JOBehaviors and Dylan's special offer. First 5 assessments at no cost, and to check out many of the other solutions that can help you in your business to help you improve driver productivity and efficiency, save on fuel maintenance costs, lowering potential points of risk, and many more. So thanks again to everybody for attending, and have a great day.
Thanks, everyone. Have a good day. Bye-bye.
Thanks, guys.